There is a secret known to those who live in the fullness of life, a secret so simple yet so profound that it shapes the entire course of one's destiny. It is the understanding that what you assume to be true becomes your reality. When you act as if everything always works out for you, the world bends to match your assumption. There is no force outside of you dictating your fate. The only power shaping your life is the belief you carry within. If you assume that things must be difficult, that life is a struggle, you will see evidence of this everywhere. But if you assume that everything unfolds in your favor, that all things conspire for your good, then this becomes your experience. Think of a time when you just knew something would go your way. There was no doubt, no hesitation, only certainty. And in that certainty, events aligned, opportunities appeared, and what you desired became real. This is not coincidence, it is law. The key is not in waiting for external proof, but in walking as though the proof is already here. If you desire success, carry yourself as one who is already successful. If you long for love, feel now the warmth of being cherished. If you seek abundance, move through life as if wealth is already yours. The world does not respond to wishful thinking, it responds to the conviction of your state of being. Doubt is the only thing that delays the manifestation of your desires. But when you refuse to entertain doubt, when you remain unwavering in the assumption that everything is working in your favor, reality has no choice but to comply. You do not need to know how things will unfold. Your only task is to persist in the assumption that they will. Look at your life now. Every circumstance, every event, every relationship is a reflection of your past assumptions. If you want to change your future, change the way you see yourself now. Assume that all things, even those that seem unfavorable, are leading you to something greater. Assume that no matter what appears before you, the end result is always in your favor. The moment you adopt this mindset, you will notice a shift. Doors that seem closed will open effortlessly. Challenges will resolve themselves in unexpected ways. People and opportunities will appear just when you need them. Life will flow with ease, not because of luck, but because you have chosen to live from the certainty that everything always works out for you. And when you truly believe this, when you no longer waver, you will see the proof unfold before your eyes. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. What you assume to be true becomes the reality you experience. This is not a philosophy of wishful thinking, but a fundamental law of existence. Every belief you hold, whether consciously or unconsciously, is shaping your world at this very moment. The mind is the birthplace of all creation, and it is through assumption that the invisible becomes visible. When you take on the belief that everything always works out for you, life itself begins to mirror this assumption. Imagine waking up each morning with the unshakable conviction that no matter what happens, no matter what challenges arise, all things will ultimately work in your favor. This belief is not dependent on circumstances, nor does it require validation from the outside world. Instead, it is a state of being, a deep inner knowing that the universe is always conspiring to bring about the best possible outcome for you. Most people live in reaction to their environment. They see the world as something separate from themselves, something that happens to them rather than something that responds to them. They observe difficulties and reinforce their struggles by assuming that life is hard, that success is rare, that happiness is fleeting. These assumptions become self-fulfilling prophecies, not because the world is inherently difficult, but because their belief demands it to be so. Now consider the opposite. When you adopt the assumption that everything is always working in your favor, you no longer react to circumstances with fear or doubt. You move with confidence, knowing that even setbacks are simply stepping stones leading to something greater. You do not need to force things into place or struggle against life. Instead, you operate from a state of effortless flow, trusting that events are aligning perfectly, even when you cannot yet see the full picture. This is not about ignoring reality, but understanding that reality is malleable. Everything that exists in your world was first an assumption in someone's mind. The house you live in, the city you walk through, the devices you use, all were once ideas before they took physical form. In the same way, your life experience is shaped by the assumptions you hold about yourself and the world. If you believe that opportunities are scarce, you will see only closed doors. If you believe that success requires endless struggle, your path will be filled with obstacles. But if you assume that life is unfolding in your favor, you will begin to notice opportunities where none seemed to exist before. You will meet the right people at the right time. Situations that once seemed impossible will resolve themselves effortlessly. This is not magic, nor is it luck. It is simply the way the mind interacts with reality. There is no need to concern yourself with how things will unfold. The conscious mind always seeks logic, asking for explanations and step-by-step plans. But the truth is, the how is never your responsibility. Your only task is to assume the state of being you desire and to live from that assumption as if it were already true. When you do this, the unseen forces of life orchestrate the details in ways you could never predict. Think of a time when something unexpectedly worked out in your favor. Perhaps you were in need of help and the right person showed up at the perfect moment. Maybe you were worried about a problem only for it to resolve itself in a way you hadn't anticipated. These moments are not coincidences. They are evidence of the unseen power that is always responding to your dominant beliefs. The more you assume that everything works out for you, the more this truth solidifies in your experience. You will reach a point where you no longer question it. Just as you do not doubt that the sun will rise each morning, you will not doubt that life is always arranging itself in your favor. This certainty creates an inner peace that cannot be shaken by temporary appearances. Even when circumstances seem challenging, you will know that they are simply a bridge to something better. Instead of reacting with frustration or fear, you will trust the process. You will look beyond the immediate moment and recognize that everything is happening for your highest good. This shift in perspective transforms the way you move through life. You no longer operate from a place of lack or desperation, but from a state of quiet confidence, knowing that all is well. Many people wait for evidence before they believe. They wait for success before they feel successful, for love before they feel loved, for security before they feel secure. But the secret is to reverse this process. Assume the feeling first, and the evidence will follow. When you assume that everything always works out for you, you create an energetic alignment with that reality. Your actions, your thoughts, your emotions all begin to reflect this new assumption, and as a result, life reorganizes itself to match. It is important to remain steadfast in your assumption, even when outer circumstances seem to contradict it. If you waver, if you allow doubt to creep in, you delay the manifestation of your desired reality. But if you persist, if you hold to your assumption regardless of appearances, you will see the proof unfold before your eyes. Consider the great innovators, leaders, and visionaries throughout history. They did not wait for proof before they acted. They assumed their vision was possible even when others doubted them. It was their unwavering belief that brought their ideas into reality. In the same way, when you assume that everything always works out for you, you are setting a powerful creative force into motion. This assumption is not just about positive thinking, it is about knowing. It is about embodying the truth that you are the creator of your reality and that life is always responding to your inner state. It is about stepping into the role of the one who determines their fate rather than the one who is subject to fate. At first, this practice may feel unfamiliar, especially if you have spent years reacting to life instead of shaping it. But the more you commit to this assumption, the more natural it will become. You will begin to notice patterns, synchronicities, and effortless manifestations that confirm your belief. With time, you will no longer need to remind yourself that everything is working out. You will simply know it to be true. This is the way life is meant to be lived, not in struggle, not in fear, but in trust. When you act as if everything always works out for you, you shift into alignment with the highest version of yourself. You no longer chase after outcomes or worry about the details. Instead, you move through life with an unshakable faith, knowing that the path before you is always leading to something greater. The world is your reflection. Change your assumption, and you change your life. Assume that everything is always working out for you, and watch as life unfolds in ways more beautiful than you ever imagined. To live from the end is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is not about waiting for external confirmation, nor is it about hoping that things will one day work out. It is about stepping into the state of already having what you desire, embodying that reality in your thoughts, emotions, and actions. This is the secret to effortless creation. When you live from the end, you no longer operate from a place of lack. You no longer question whether your desire will manifest because you already exist in the state of its fulfillment. Most people live in the mindset of wanting. They want success, they want love, they want abundance, but they continue to dwell in the feeling of not having these things. They wake up each day noticing the absence of what they seek, reinforcing the belief that it is out of reach. They say they believe in manifestation, but their actions reveal a different truth. They are waiting for proof before they allow themselves to feel satisfied, fulfilled, or successful. However, the process does not work this way. You cannot wait for life to bring you what you desire before you shift your state of being. The shift must happen within first. When you assume the state of already having what you desire, the world must rearrange itself to reflect this new inner reality. The external world is nothing more than a projection of your inner state. If you walk through life feeling unworthy, struggling, or doubtful, reality will present you with circumstances that confirm these feelings. But if you persist in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, reality has no choice but to conform. This is why living from the end is the most powerful way to manifest anything. It removes doubt, eliminates struggle, and allows you to step into a version of yourself that naturally attracts the life you want. There is no forcing, no chasing, no endless waiting. Instead, you become the person who already has what they desire, and life mirrors this state back to you. Imagine someone who desires financial abundance. If they continue to see themselves as struggling, as someone who wants more money, they remain trapped in the reality of lack. Their actions, thoughts, and emotions are all reinforcing the idea that abundance is not yet theirs. But if they were to step into the state of already being financially abundant, everything would change. They would no longer worry about money in the way they once did. They would make decisions from a place of confidence rather than fear. They would carry themselves differently, speak differently, even think differently. And as they persist in this state, their reality would begin to reflect it. Opportunities would arise, circumstances would shift, and abundance would flow effortlessly into their life. The same principle applies to any desire. If you seek love, you must become the person who already has love. You do not wait for someone to appear before you feel loved. You embody that feeling now. If you desire success, you must think and act as the successful version of yourself today. You do not wait until the external world provides evidence. You create the evidence by assuming the state of being first. Some may ask, but how can I act as if I already have something when my current reality shows the opposite? The answer lies in understanding that reality is fluid. What you see now is simply a reflection of past assumptions, past beliefs, past states of being. If you continue to focus on the present circumstances as fixed, you only reinforce them. But when you shift your focus to the reality you desire and live from that place, the outer world begins to shift accordingly. This is not about pretending or faking. It is not about ignoring reality or denying what is. It is about stepping into a deeper understanding of how creation works. The version of you who already has your desire exists in consciousness right now. Your task is to align with that version, to think as they would think, to feel as they would feel, to move through life as they would move. Consider an actor preparing for a role. To bring a character to life, they do not simply read lines. They embody the character fully. They take on their mannerisms, their emotions, their thoughts. They become that character in every way. Similarly, when you desire something in your life, you must become the version of you that already has it. You may wonder, how do I know if I am truly living from the end? The answer is simple: your emotions will reveal it. When you are fully living from the state of your wish fulfilled, there is no desperation, no anxiety, no frustration. There is only a deep knowing, a quiet confidence that all is well. You no longer feel the need to chase after things or question when they will arrive. You trust the process because you have already accepted your desire as reality. Doubt is the only thing that can disrupt this process. The moment you question whether your manifestation is working, you shift out of the state of fulfillment and back into a state of lack. This is why persistence is key. You must remain in the assumption of already having what you desire, even when the outer world seems unchanged. Many give up too soon because they expect instant results. They plant the seed of assumption, but then dig it up, looking for evidence before it has had a chance to grow. But those who persist, who remain unwavering in their belief, inevitably see their desires take form. If you were to wake up tomorrow and truly believe that your desire was already yours, how would you feel? How would you behave? What thoughts would you entertain? What decisions would you make? These are the questions that guide you into the state of the wish fulfilled. Your work is to live in that state now, not at some future point when the world provides proof. This is the true power of living from the end. It removes all resistance and places you in alignment with the reality you seek. It is not about trying to force things into existence, but about becoming the person who naturally experiences those things. It is about stepping into the consciousness of already having, already being. Reality is never fixed. It is shaped by your assumptions, molded by your state of being. When you live from the end, you are no longer bound by past limitations. You step into a new version of yourself, one that exists in the reality of your fulfilled desires. And as you persist in this state, the world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. You are always creating. Every thought, every assumption, every belief is shaping your experience. Choose to live from the end, and you will witness the effortless unfolding of your desires. What you seek is already yours the moment you assume it to be so. Hold firm in that knowing, and life will reveal it to you in ways beyond your imagination. Your imagination is the gateway to all that you desire. It is not just a tool for daydreaming or wishful thinking. It is the very foundation upon which reality is built. Everything you experience in life, every event, every person, every circumstance is a direct reflection of your inner world. When you begin to understand this, you no longer see imagination as something separate from reality, but as the cause of it. The world you live in is nothing more than a projection of what you persistently hold in mind. Most people do not realize the power of their imagination because they have been conditioned to believe that what they see in the external world is more real than what they create within. They live by their five senses, allowing their current circumstances to dictate what they believe is possible. They look at their bank accounts, their relationships, their careers, and conclude that this is their reality, fixed and unchangeable. But this is not how creation works. What you see now is only the result of past assumptions. If you continue to react to what is, you will only create more of the same. If, however, you begin to deliberately use your imagination to see beyond your current reality, you open the door to infinite possibilities. Every great achievement, every innovation, every breakthrough in human history began in the imagination of someone who refused to accept things as they were. They saw something greater, something unseen, and they held on to that vision until it became their reality. This same power is within you. You do not need the world to confirm it for you before you believe in it. Your imagination is the only proof you need. If you wish to change your life, begin by changing what you entertain in your imagination. Instead of replaying memories of failure, rejection, and struggle, begin to imagine yourself as the person who already has what they desire, feeling the emotions of already being there. Do not simply see it as something distant. Step into it, live in it mentally, and persist in that state. Some may argue that imagination is not real, that it is merely fantasy. But what is reality other than what you persistently believe to be true? A person who constantly imagines failure will inevitably experience failure. A person who imagines themselves unloved will continue to see evidence of loneliness. On the other hand, a person who imagines success, joy, and abundance will draw those experiences into their life effortlessly. Your imagination is not separate from reality. It is the blueprint from which reality is formed. Consider someone who desires financial abundance. If they continue to imagine themselves struggling, worrying about bills, and feeling anxious about money, they will remain in that state. Even if they come into money, they will find a way to lose it because their dominant assumption is lack. But if they begin to see themselves as already abundant, if they imagine wealth flowing to them easily, if they feel the relief and joy of financial security, their external world must eventually conform to that assumption. This principle applies to every area of life. If you desire love, imagine yourself already being deeply loved. Feel the warmth of that connection, the joy of companionship. If you desire success, imagine yourself already thriving, already achieving. Step into the role of the successful version of yourself now. The more vividly and consistently you hold these images in your mind, the more quickly they will take shape in your reality. Doubt is the only thing that can block this process. The moment you question whether your imagination is working, you begin to undo its effects. Many people sabotage their manifestations by entertaining contradictory thoughts. They imagine success for a moment, but then allow fear and doubt to creep in. They look at their current circumstances and begin to worry, undoing the work they have done in their imagination. But those who persist in their assumptions, who refuse to accept anything less than their ideal, will inevitably see their desires materialize. One of the simplest ways to harness the power of imagination is through the practice of mental rehearsal. Each night before you sleep, enter a relaxed state and begin to imagine yourself already living your desired reality. Make the scene as vivid as possible. See the details, hear the sounds, feel the emotions. If you desire a new home, imagine yourself walking through it, touching the walls, feeling the comfort of the space. If you desire a fulfilling relationship, imagine conversations with your ideal partner. Feel the love and connection. Whatever you desire, assume that it is already yours and dwell in that state until it feels natural. Sleep is a powerful tool in this process because the moments before sleep are when your subconscious mind is most receptive to new impressions. Whatever you impress upon it, in that state will begin to take root and shape your waking reality. Instead of falling asleep worrying or replaying the events of the day, use this time to imagine the life you wish to create. Persist in this practice and you will soon find that your external world begins to shift in ways you never thought possible. Some may wonder, how long does it take for imagination to become reality? The answer is simple. It takes as long as you allow doubt to interfere. The moment you fully accept your desire as already fulfilled in imagination, the process is set in motion. The only thing that delays it is your wavering belief. If you persist, if you remain steadfast in your assumption, your desire will appear in ways you could never predict. Many people give up too soon because they are looking for immediate results. They plant the seed in imagination, but then dig it up by questioning when it will happen. But those who truly understand this principle know that once a desire has been accepted in imagination, it is only a matter of time before it manifests. They do not need to force anything or chase after results. They live in the feeling of already having, knowing that the world must conform to their assumption. The greatest mistake one can make is to believe that imagination is separate from reality. It is not. It is the source of all reality. Everything you see around you first existed in someone's imagination before it became physical. The chair you sit on, the device you are reading this on, the clothes you wear, all were once thoughts in someone's mind. If others can use their imagination to bring their visions to life, so can you. Your imagination is your divine gift, your direct connection to infinite possibilities. There is nothing you cannot create if you persist in the assumption of already having it. The only limits are the ones you place upon yourself. Begin now to use your imagination deliberately. See yourself as the person you wish to be. Live in that state mentally, and reality will shape itself to match. Your imagination is not a place of escape. It is the very substance of creation. Use it wisely, and you will discover that you are the master of your own reality. The world will reflect back to you whatever you hold persistently in mind. Choose to see yourself as already fulfilled, already abundant, already successful, and life will mirror that back to you in ways beyond your wildest dreams. The world around you is a mirror reflecting back to you the contents of your own consciousness. What you assume to be true, what you deeply believe in your heart and persistently entertain in your mind will inevitably show itself in your external world. There is no separation between what you hold internally and what you... The moment you accept this truth, you gain complete authority over your life. For you realize that circumstances are not random, but rather the result of your dominant thoughts and assumptions. Many believe they are at the mercy of life, that events happen to them and that they must react accordingly. They see themselves as victims of chance, subject to forces beyond their control. But this is only because they are unaware of the law that governs reality. They do not realize that everything they experience is an outpicturing of their internal state. If they persist in seeing the world as a place of struggle, they will continue to encounter obstacles. If they hold on to the belief that people cannot be trusted, they will attract experiences that confirm that assumption. If they see themselves as unworthy, they will find that life consistently reinforces that feeling. To change what appears in your world, you must first change what you hold within. The outer world is not separate from you, it is a direct projection of your mind. If you wish to experience abundance, you must first accept abundance as a reality in your imagination. If you desire love, you must first feel loved within yourself. If you wish to see kindness and generosity in the world, you must first embody those qualities internally. You cannot escape this law, for it operates with absolute precision whether you are aware of it or not. Most people attempt to change their external circumstances while leaving their internal state unchanged. They struggle, they fight, they chase after things, believing that through effort alone they can reshape their reality, but they are only addressing effects, not causes. The true cause of all experiences lies within the unseen realm of assumption. To change the effect, one must first change the assumption that created it. If you desire financial prosperity, but your dominant assumption is lack, no amount of hard work or external effort will bring lasting wealth. You may temporarily earn more money, but your inner state will always find a way to return you to the assumption you hold. This is why some people win large sums of money, only to lose it all within a short time. Their inner world has not shifted to align with abundance. They still hold the belief of financial struggle, and so their reality must conform to that belief. If instead they were to assume themselves to be financially secure, if they were to persist in that assumption, regardless of what their bank account currently shows, their external world would inevitably transform to match that new inner state. This is true in relationships as well. A person who sees themselves as unlovable will find that no matter how many relationships they enter, the experience of rejection or disappointment follows them. They will find evidence everywhere that supports their assumption, because reality must always reflect what is held within. But the moment they begin to assume that they are deeply loved, the moment they truly feel within themselves that love is their natural state, their world will rearrange itself to mirror that belief. They will attract loving people, harmonious relationships, and experiences that confirm their new assumption. There is no limit to what can be changed when one understands this principle. The world is not something to be fought against, resisted, or controlled. It is something to be understood. Once you grasp that everything you see is a reflection of your state of mind, you will stop trying to force the external world into submission and instead focus on mastering your inner world. Some may wonder, if my reality is a reflection of my assumptions, why do things sometimes appear to contradict what I desire? The answer is that most people are unaware of the assumptions they are holding. They may say they desire success, but deep down they feel unworthy of it. They may wish for love, but internally they expect disappointment. They may affirm prosperity, but they are consumed by fear of loss. It is not the words you speak or the actions you take that determine your reality. It is the deep-seated beliefs you hold within. If you are not experiencing what you desire, examine what you truly assume to be true. Ask yourself, what do I consistently expect from life? What do I assume about myself and others? The answers to these questions will reveal the cause of your current reality. If you find that your assumptions do not align with what you desire, do not despair. The moment you become aware of them, you have the power to change them. One of the simplest ways to change an assumption is through imagination. Each day, take time to dwell in the feeling of your desired state. If you wish to experience success, imagine yourself already successful. Feel the satisfaction, the joy, the confidence. If you wish for better health, see yourself as vibrant and strong. Feel the energy and vitality. If you desire fulfilling relationships, imagine yourself surrounded by love and harmony. Let these feelings become familiar to you. As you persist in these new assumptions, you will begin to notice small shifts in your reality. Things that once seemed difficult will become effortless. People who once treated you a certain way will change in response to your new state. Opportunities will appear seemingly out of nowhere. But these changes are not random. They are the natural outpicturing of your internal world. A person who embodies this truth moves through life differently. They do not react to every challenge with fear or doubt. Instead, they maintain their inner certainty, knowing that even apparent setbacks are simply part of the unfolding of their assumption. They do not see obstacles as failures, but as temporary illusions that will pass. Because of this, they do not resist life, they flow with it. They trust the process, knowing that as long as they hold the assumption that everything works out, it must come to pass. This state of being affects not only opportunities and external circumstances, but also how others perceive and interact with you. When you walk with confidence, when you radiate the energy of someone who knows things always work out, people respond to you differently. They see you as someone to be trusted, respected, and followed. They pick up on your certainty and reflect it back to you. Doors open effortlessly, support appears, and synchronicities align to reinforce your belief. Many people live in a state of reaction, allowing their moods and expectations to be dictated by what is happening around them. But those who truly understand the nature of reality do the opposite. They decide how they want to feel, how they want to be treated, and what they want to experience. And then they assume that state before any external evidence appears. The external world then follows suit. If you begin today to act as if everything always works out for you, you will start to see small shifts almost immediately. The way people respond to you will change, new opportunities will emerge, things that once seemed difficult will become easier, and as these small shifts occur, they will reinforce your assumption, making it even stronger. The key is to remain consistent. Do not allow temporary appearances to shake your belief. If a challenge arises, instead of reacting with fear or frustration, remind yourself, this is working out for me. Even if you do not yet see how, trust that it is. The moment you assume that even difficulties are serving you, they will begin to do so. What once seemed like a setback will reveal itself to be a necessary step in your path. This way of living does not mean you will never face difficulties, but it does mean that you will move through them with a sense of ease, knowing that nothing can truly be against you. Every challenge is an opportunity. Every delay is part of the perfect timing. And every situation is unfolding for your highest good. As you persist in this assumption, you will find that life begins to feel effortless. Things will fall into place with surprising ease. What once required struggle will happen naturally. The sense of anxiety that once accompanied uncertainty will dissolve, replaced by a quiet confidence that all is well. The shift begins within. The moment you decide that things always work out for you, they do. The world is a mirror, and it must reflect your new assumption. When you hold this belief unwaveringly, nothing can stand in your way. The reality you experience is the one you assume to be true. Assume the best, and the best will unfold before you.